All right, welcome to episode 45 of the Non Fungibles podcast. Today we are joined by John Karp of NFT Factory, NFT Morning, and the Non Fungible Conference in Lisbon. John is an absolute delight to chat with and a fountain of knowledge. We covered so much about the NFT space, the art space, what is ownership, royalty wars, and many more topics. He also gave us a peek into the upcoming Non Fungible Conference that's happening at the beginning of June. And if you stick around to the end, you'll hear an extraordinary Brave New Gerbil reading. I apologise for some ground loop hum in my mic due to a faulty cable, but don't worry, it doesn't continue for too long. We hope you enjoy the episode.
We're the non-fun gerbils. Come on now, non-fun with the gerbils. We interview founders and builders with the focus on the tech and the fundamentals. George and Luke have been friends since they were kids. We collaborate with the audience to make scarce, dank, creative gerbils. Rude Moose is a force to be reckoned with. We're the non-fun gerbils. We're the non-fun gerbils. We're the non-fun gerbils.
So, John Karp, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Luke. Hi, George.
How are you doing?
I'm great. So happy to be with you, and so excited, to be part of the podcast. I've been, you are part of the podcast. I've been listening to when I started, with NFTs. So I'm really happy to chat with you now.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always nice to touch base with people that you've had a connection with, but you didn't even realize how long that connection goes back.
Exactly. And for me, Non Fungible is like just part of the landscape, and so I'm really happy, to be with you now.
Amazing. So tell us about your history. Yeah, how did you? Well, what was your background before NFTs, and how did you get into the space?
Actually, I have an event background. I created like 12 years ago this company. So I co-founded this company called hackathon.com. In Europe, is known as BeMyApp.com. And basically, we've been the first company to organize a hackathon for corporate. So it was the main idea. And so we've been working in the US mainly with, Web2 leaders like Microsoft, Facebook, Intel, Samsung, etc., with basically a simple tool for them, to reach out with developers. And then, we've been growing. This business was growing until we helped any kind of company, even luxury, energy, retail, bank, to basically do some open innovation with developers and co-creation with developers. So this is really what we've been doing, and so it was event, but also it's tech at the end of the day when you do this kind of stuff, and so this is why I was pretty. I would say pretty close, of course, with a lot of innovation concept. The last 10 years, it basically all the clients, like classical client, like luxury, like LVMH or like this, they come to us and say, what can we do with AI, AR, VR, blockchain, big data, all these kind of things. It's always, for them, hackathon was just a way to leverage with some experts in the community and understand the technology. And so, and then, if the project is interesting, maybe hire the people or launch the project with the team or something like this. So, I was close to the blockchain without being so close. It was just something I was familiar with, but I was not deeply involved in the crypto. Even in 2017, when it started booming, I was there, been organizing some cool events, some cool conferences related to that, but I was not, cryptocurrency was nice for me. I think I was owning some Ethereum because I was into the tech, open innovation stuff, so it resonates for me, but that's it. And, I really start to be interested actually by the blockchain thanks to NFTs. And this is how it started for me. I think it was it was only 3 years ago, at the very beginning of the lockdown, that I was actually working on a new online conference about blockchain. And as usual, I take some people to help me, some experts. And so the expert who helped me this time, there were some crypto traders, basically, were helping me, to find speakers, and so they were bringing speakers from crypto platform mainly. And at this moment, they start to say, "Oh, and there is this new stuff, NFTs and metaverse, and I believe, we should bring some people from Decentraland and whatever." And at this moment, I think I became crazy. Really, I just say, I think what I was really surprised and really interested, and I was already interested by Second Life when it happened, like before. And so when I saw this stuff, I didn't realize what was happening. But this is how I say, okay, I just acquired some lens just to understand. And then, when you start to do that, okay, then, you realize that a whole new world is open to you with so many skilled people and so many, it's much more than just technology. It's, politic, it's economical, it's social, it's everything. And then, I just fall into the rabbit hole. And especially I fall in love with art, to be honest. And so I started collecting art, and, I was just crazy. I say, okay, I have the chance to be a contemporary person of the new Warhol and the new Picasso. It was really that, that I realized, it took me a few months, maybe between March and even late summer, to discover, to search, to understand, and then say, okay, yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And at this moment, I start collecting art. And so, of course, when it started booming, so it was early 2021, a lot of people start to come to me, normies coming back to me, say, hey, how can I buy this kind of stuff, etc. And so at this moment, I say, okay, and I like to educate people, and say I need to educate people. And this is how I created the NFT morning. It was on Clubhouse at this moment. And then, now we are still doing this on Twitter Space. It's a French daily podcast on explaining NFTs. And so we've been producing almost 500 episodes so far. And so basically the idea, as we started, I remember we started, I think it was just 1 week before. I think the first episode was about Beeple, and it was just before the Beeple sale, the Christie's one. And so the first episode was about, guessing for how much people would sell, basically. And so we were pretty far for 70 million, to be honest. It was more like...
Don't blame me for that.
But it were always like 5 or 6 million. The highest expectation were something like this. But and so, we started at this moment, and I think the momentum was the ideal momentum to start content like this, because 1 week later, people just did his sale. And so at this moment, a lot of people wanted to come in the space. And so we were the only French content to onboard them, basically. And so this is how we onboarded a lot of artists, entrepreneurs, tech people, financial people also, and collectors. And from that, also I wrote a book also called NFT Revolution, to educate people also about it. And so from that, realized that we were in touch with a lot of people that were becoming a community, basically. And so as I had an event background, and I started to step a bit back, from my company to go full into NFTs, basically. Even if I didn't know how and what and whatever, I was just wanting to be there. And so I just started to initiate a lot of projects related to communities. So and now I would say that I have two main projects, I would say. One was an NFT factory. So it's a hub dedicated to NFTs. So it's a physical building in front of Centre Georges Pompidou in Paris. And it's basically something very special, because the main idea, it's a friend of mine. The idea came from a friend of mine called Jean-Michel Payon. He's a former chief of staff of Ledger, basically one of the key people there. And he told me we need to create a space where random people go inside, and when they go out, they know what are NFTs. And so we decided we say we need to have a great location in Paris, to get random people coming. And so we just opened a street, this stuff, it's three floors. When you go inside, you feel like you don't know what it is. You feel like it's a gallery. And then when people, just are there, they are onboarded, and they are finally, for some of them, buying their first NFT. And so this is really the idea, to have a hub, to educate people about that. And as we are just in front of the Museum of Contemporary Art of Paris, in the very center of the city, we are basically a huge traffic, something like 2,000 people going inside every week. And so it's a good way for them to discover what are NFTs. And actually, the project became even bigger, because we decided, instead of raising funds to VCs or whatever, to do something collective. And so we made a crowdfunding, where we say, okay, we want to have key people from the Web3 ecosystem who have money to invest and who are good people. And, we want them, to be part of the crew. And so this is how we started with, this Sandbox founder, Sorar people, like Ledger peeps, and much more artists and much more collectors, that are famous in Europe, who wanted to join the movement as a co-founder, investors. And so they are bringing not only money, but they are bringing also their network, to create something, that is really to promote NFTs to the real world. And then, of course, it became also kind of a membership club, where, or I would say community area, where meetups are organized, exhibition, a lot of community even happening there. So this is like the first stuff. And the second stuff is a Non Fungible Conference happening in Lisbon, Portugal. And so I think you guys came also last year. And so basically it's at the end of the day, I realized that I like to organize events. I really like the ERL stuff, and wanted to do my own vision, I would say, about what should be a Web3 event and NFT event.
Last event was really amazing in terms of the numbers. I was very surprised at how many people were there and how many people outside of the Web3 world. Do you feel like the interest and passion is still there in the European world to fill the conference again in the same way? Because obviously the cycles have changed over that time, but I've always felt that there's still this underlying sort of rumble of interest, even if the super hype is gone a bit. How are you seeing it for the upcoming conference?
Actually, my main concern now is how I will manage the quantity of people that will come. Now, just to give you a key figure, last year, 2 months before the event, I had 80 registration, 80. Now, I just checked, the registration this morning. I have 1,800 registrations. Last year, we ended up with 2,500 people. This year, I'm working on a setup to host 5,000 people.
Wow, that is quite an increase.
Yeah. It's totally, last year already I was surprised. And now I'm really like, wow, what are we going to do? How are we going to deal with that? This is why we are extending a few things and trying to do our best. But to be honest with you, we have more issue to get money from sponsors.
Sure.
No, actually, no, even that is, the point is that it's bear market. And bear market means that for 1 year, we've been trying to get money from them, to get answers like, I have no budget. And now everybody's coming back to say, oh, finally, I want to be in. So I think, it's more just, the feeling was pretty, if you would have asked me the question, 2 months ago, maybe I would have said, I don't know. But how the Web3 is, you're just going from one focus to another focus. And now I feel like, people like it relevant, even if now you have NFT and YC coming in 2 or 3 weeks from now. But I feel like, people are now a lot in Europe, a lot chatting about the event. And after NFT and YC, we never know, but I feel like, now then it's going to be crazy. What I'm doing now is just trying to processize a bit, because I feel like even if we have a big team, because we have almost 20 people working on it, I feel like, we'll have a big rush.
That's a point, actually, because didn't you have your date down and then suddenly NFT NYC was basically over the top? And you were like, okay, we're going to change the date. Is that what happened?
No, it's true that okay, we're doing the event. We have a vision. It's part of the DNA of the event. Just to tell you, the DNA for me is it needs to be an event. Just to give you the feeling what we wanted to do is an event for people who knows and who likes NFTs. It means that, of course, we are happy to onboard people, but my overall feeling is that you shouldn't decrease the level of expectations in terms of Web3 because you want to onboard more people. For me, we have a Web3. We define that based on wallets that are, that at the end of the day, you can use, with MetaMask or Ledger or whatever you want, based on the fact that most of the people in the space knows what is NFT, knows or I've heard some Twitter space about how it can change fine art, fashion, or photography or whatever. So, I don't need to have one more panel about how NFT will change fine art or how museums should adapt themselves or basically how brands will do with NFTs and blah, blah, blah. Of course, I think, I don't, as I'm doing my podcast also every day, I think maybe my level of expectation is pretty high in terms of fresh content, And so my idea was to do something for people who knows NFTs. And this is why, for example, you have no panels. You have a lot of other stuff, of course. And then, we have a team of curators who need to take what we call level 2 content. And level 2 content is if you have talks, but this talk should be about, last year we had, I don't know, how did I hire someone in my Discord? How did I hire my team in my Discord as a collection? Or, it should be really, and this year it's going to be, we have a lot of focus on fails, collection who's been, doing good stuff and then, who had a third, or, some people who face some issue or about recruiting, or some artists, talking about communication, some stuff related to statistic and data, fresh content, I would say. And so, this is for people who knows. And this is why I wanted to do that with the love of people who loves NFTs, basically, and to make it also a bit like a festival, even if it's a conference, but with a festival spirit. This is why, I selected this city, Lisbon, Portugal, that is an ocean city, basically with a good weather, with good parties, with good food, with good atmosphere. And this is also last year, a part of the stuff were a bit outside. This year we'll have more outside setup. So it's a mix between inside and outside setup. And you're right, about the date actually. Last year it was in April and the NFT NYC was in June. And so we plan to do the same this year, April, because NFT NYC was in June. But I was still, a bit sad to not do it, in late spring or early summer, because for me, I really wanted to make it a bit more a bit more total outside, kind of. Mm. And so when NFT NYC decided to change their date, we say, okay, it's the perfect opportunity. First, we don't want to be in the same time that NFT NYC, it's true. And secondly, now June is our spot. So,
Yeah. And then you've got the weather, right? You've got the nice Lisbon hot summer. Yeah.
Exactly. We have the weather. And this is why actually we decided to do 2 days of event and 1 extra day of beach party. So basically the event will happen June 7, 8. And now we have 1 extra day that is 9. And it's totally integrated to the event. It's a beach day happening all on the day in partnership with the Sandbox, co-organized with Sandbox and Party Degenerate and much more people. But instead of doing, a final party in the evening, the final party is the day after. And it's all the afternoon, day party happening on the beach.
That's much more accessible, right? Because people turn up with their kids or families and they can spend the whole day in the literal sandbox on the beach, right?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, this is, it totally makes sense for them, yeah.
It's I'll skip my next question, which was going to be how are NFTs changing fine art?
Now we can talk about it, of course.
and come on to well, I think that's a great approach actually, right? Because there's this balance between catering for your current audience, which is the community, which is the core of the space, right? It's the artists, the artistic world, and then catering for new people coming in. And really, if you make the core really good, new people will come anyway, right? And it's about making a great experience and connecting communities that exist and that are great communities already.
Yeah, this is what I believe. And this is also, why, just an example, the main stage that we have this year, it will be accessible for anyone, but it will be also very deep for people who knows, because the main stage will be, we call that the blind stage. It's an area where you will every walls will be surrounded by 7-meter high screens. You will have no chairs the first day and chairs the second day. And we are creating, 2 days of art shows all along the 2 days. And I give you examples, we are creating these blind talks. Blind talks is basically content that we are creating with some great collectors and artists that are anonymous, like Cosimo de Medici or Whale Shark, or whatever, like Basilius or others. And these collectors, of course, they cannot give a proper talk. So sometimes, they just do kind of a Twitter space to the conference. But for me, it does not make sense to have someone, doing a chat remotely, where you have everybody in the room and everybody's just watching an avatar on a screen. I mean, why are you there? You can leverage much more with that. And so what we are doing, you say, okay, these collectors, they have huge collections, actually. And, we can just show these collections, and not on screens, but in the main kind of immersive area. And we have basically what we are doing with them. They will be in the room behind, basically a curtains, and you can see their shadow. And we are producing actually, immersive movies based on their collection, with also a story, a talk, basically. For example, Cosimo will compare the Renaissance and the digital Renaissance. And the illustration will be Da Vinci images, or Raphael, and Fidenza on the other hand. And we are creating a movie, with all this content and with the text that they have produced. It's really it's a pretty tough job, to be honest. And in the same time, they will be in the room, and people will be able to chat with them with a live chat system, And so this is this kind of experiences we want to create. And all along the 2 days, you will have this kind of talks. You will have live minting that people can do, but live minting where you have like 500 people in the same room, and depending on the interaction of all these people, the artwork will be different. And we are doing a lot of artworks that will be created like this. And you will have pop-up exhibitions, basically, where the artists are in the room. And so, it's a moment. I see it as an art show that will happen for 2 days, basically, in the main stage. And so this is also, our mission as I would say, Web3 event. Try to take risk, because to be honest, we are creating kind of new format that does not exist, and see, if it works. And so, we try.
That's super creative, and having that's like one of the big benefits of having big digital screens is you can create an immersive environment, and then an hour later you can have a completely separate immersive environment, rather than having, and I see this a lot, is having a digital screen with a set of things on that's the same the whole weekend, right? Or the same the whole conference. And then there are lots of little pockets where everyone's spread out. If you can have a nice space that is really quite immersive, and then people come back to, it'll be completely different the next time.
Exactly. This is really what we want to do. And this is why also we want to make it like a show. It means it's not just a static exhibition. You have voice, you have sound, you have light, you have live minting, and you have a beginning and an end. Even if you have a static exhibition in the middle, you have a story that's happening, and you are sure that the artist will be in the room at the moment you're going there also. So the idea is to try to make it different. Of course, I don't say that we won't have also permanent exhibitions in the Palazzo where we are doing the event also, but we want to try something also where we we change the game and we try things because we are working in digital. Digital can be in screens, but we can play with this digital material another way.
Yeah, love that. And actually, the idea of having these anonymous entities in the room with you that you can speak to as well, and having their shadow cast, that's really cool. Very, very creative. Love it. But can you tell us a little bit about how the live minting will work? Do you have a set format for that, or is there a lot of different ways?
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways. To be honest, there are a lot of different ways. I cannot, to be honest, I cannot reveal all the artists who are working on right now, but they start working on it now, and but I give you some kind of experiences that will happen. For example, you have some AI artists working on something based on cameras that will be in the room, and depending on what the crowd is doing, the real-time artwork will degenerate. And what is cool is you can play it like a show. So you say to people to not move, and then the video will say to move, and you will see the artwork changing depending on what people are doing. And then basically people will scan a QR code and they will be able to live mint the moment they like from this generative artwork. And so this is like a kind of a collection where you just take the second that you prefer, where that you are living, to mint it. And so we have different kind of stuff, happening like this. We are working with, also the main generative art platforms to create some kind of experiences where the crowd will play a role on the final artwork. Depending on the sum of choices, from the crowd, you will have different artwork changing and people minting, stuff. But you have different mechanisms that will happen.
Yeah, that's cool. I look forward to that.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this. Yeah.
We do have a specific gerbil for the conference this year as well, which we're working on distribution methods, but we're thinking about doing a pin to go with it as well.
Actually, happy to chat. Maybe it's another conversation that we should have, Luke. But I know that you guys are doing a lot of stuff, and maybe we should talk about it also on the other side, to see if there's not something to do.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that there are. We try to innovate so. Maybe there's some stuff to do for sure.
Sorry, yeah, hijacking that right in the middle of a conversation. Sorry.
I like this. Yeah.
Gerbils always prompt some form of innovation. From day one, they've done that. We've had so much fun. Yeah, sort of bringing that side of things to life, and I think it's always one of the things about the NFT space is it should be fun and interesting, and I think having these kinds of things helps foster that. It's going to be really exciting to see all the innovations that you guys have brought to the event, and it'll be exciting to be a part of it. What do you feel? So how do you feel that the NFT space is right now? In comparison to where things were at the last event, how have things moved on? Have you felt that the space has kept pace with innovations happening outside? I know there are things happening with the music NFT world. I bought my first music NFT the other day. How are you seeing things in terms of innovation and the pace of innovation? And because really, with a digital medium, we should be in lockstep with all the cool stuff that's happening.
Of course. I think there are several layers, to read, what we are living now. I would say the most obvious and visible one is that it's just confirming what I believed in, is that art will stay forever. It's already here, and bear market, bull market, we don't care anymore. It's just here now. Maybe the financial, even on financial aspect, it's pretty stable. But also at the end of the day, everybody, every museum, everyone, is trying to do their own stuff. So this revolution already happened, and it's already there. And it's not future anymore. It's just present for me. And this is the first thing. Then we can already feel like some underlying signals, that are happening that will be revealed and will become crazy maybe in 1 2 years from now, depending on maturity of their technology. But uh, at the end of the day, what I see, the thing is that gaming industry is very active. I feel like, even if the gamers so far don't like NFTs, or most of the gamers, a lot of people from the gaming industry, a real professional, moved, to this space to bring, the gaming standard to the Web3 space. Because, what we had so far was more, I would say, games created by a tokenomics expert. That is also interesting, but that is that's yeah, of course, it's nice, and it's a good way. It's a proof of concept, I would say, kind of. And I believe that, from what I see, I see so many big experts in the gaming world creating stuff now with, yeah, I would say, resources and experience and knowledge, to do good games. That this could happen soon. I don't see. I'm not an expert, into gaming, but I really, every time, and I see a lot of people, a lot of it's pretty active, and people are trying to bring innovation into that. Of course, we are not in the play to earn model anymore. I think, it's more like people call themselves, yeah, finance, decentralized gaming, finance gaming, blockchain gaming, whatever stuff. But at the end of the day, you keep this principle of being the owner of your asset, and also, try to find good way to streamline, the in-game economy, thanks to the blockchain. So this is something, because I talk about it because art was already a topic, but art is, yeah, it brings a lot of people to art, because it was not the fine art was not the uh, main cultural asset that people were used, to consume. But game is something huge, so far it's the first cultural product, before movies, before music, before books, and so, the moment it will happen, the moment you will find the Fortnite of Web3, basically, or like the Angry Birds of Web3, depending on what is your culture. Then, yeah, it will be a game changer in terms of business model for the gaming industry. And so, yeah, I think from what I see, there are a lot of things, happening here, and yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting to follow that.
A literal game changer.
Yeah, literally, exactly.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It will be interesting to see that one take off, and
Yeah.
sure it will.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, then you have a lot of corporate innovation, but it's more like, from what I see that works now, it's mainly actually, uh, I would say NFTs for employees. The, this is something also that is pretty important, because from what people say about NFTs, of course, it's a way, for brands, I would say, to make it simple, to leverage with a community. And the switch from Web 2 to Web 3 from brands is, how do you come from a customer relation based on Google ads, Facebook ads, and I would say CRM based on what you buy and your email, to something where you leverage your community and you reward the engagement on your media based on, yeah, you reward the engagement with a token, to make it simple. And based on the token, you can more reward, and then you can potentially tomorrow, have more understanding about who's doing what in your community, and leverage with that. So this is what brands are playing with and trying to play with now. But there is something that is where you can really leverage with the community. is internal employees. When you are a corporate and you have 10,000 people working for you, it's a community actually that you need to activate. And moreover, in the 2020s, where people, I would say not mainly, I don't know the trends, but work remotely, don't go in the office anymore, are maybe less interested to work for a corporate. And so, you need to treat them like a community, and like a community that need to be activated, where you need to create things. And for them, this community, actually, they are not clients. They will not buy your product. The only thing they are buying, the only thing you can get from them is, this component that is on Web3, that is, commitment, engagement, and, being proud, to be with you, basically. And so I think, it's something, this is what I advise, to entrepreneurs who don't want to take too much risk and who want to make money. I say, this area is not the most sexy one because it's corporate. And so, maybe you don't want to do that. But I think, there are a lot of innovations that will happen there actually in terms of employees' engagement.
Do you think the whole royalty debacle has had a serious impact on brands coming into the space? And I know of companies who are relying on a certain level of royalty income, and that's basically been wiped out overnight. Do you think that's, what's good about that? What's bad about that? What are the pros and cons here to this whole fiasco?
So,
or do you have an opinion on them? I suppose is the question.
No. I think it's sad. I think it's sad. Basically, it's sad for me. First, I'm sad about this royalty situation because it's true that it's kind of, a lot of people in the space are idealist people, maybe a bit utopist people, maybe too utopist sometimes. But we have this, I would say, this idea of something that is give a better rewarding to every part, of a value chain. And so, for the artist, the model is a dream one. And it's true that it was part of the arguments that the Web3 industry was giving to the media when we were selling, how good and how fair is the Web3, because we have this royalty system. The royalty system exists technically, for example, in France. You have legally a right in the art world called the droit de suite. And so basically it's exactly the royalty. So if someone is selling an artwork to someone else, the artist, should get some royalties. But it's in the law, but nobody make it work because it's technically impossible, for a gallery to look for a seller in Dubai to a buyer in Hong Kong. And we know, especially when you sell stuff, it's impossible to cover that. And so, it's an interesting dream that I still believe in first. I still believe that, okay, maybe the royalty, not for everybody. And maybe, I understand if your activity is to do some daily trading on some random collections or stuff like that, and maybe you don't want royalties and it's not helping you, and maybe that's the market decide, and I'm fine with that at the end of the day. But I strongly believe that there is a big space for royalty market, I would say. So maybe it will come with some platforms that are dedicated to that. Maybe you will have some new project. Maybe tomorrow you will have some better rewards, for people who are paying the royalties. I don't know how things will go, but I'm pretty sure that something positive will come up because, it's part of I think it's important for artists. And I think it's important also for some projects, who base their model on that. And this is why, I'm a bit sad because, what happened also is that we changed the game for some of them. Some of them have been creating free mint with a business model based on royalty. And now it's over. You just say no. And, what I don't like is that you are not respecting also, what the creators decided. because the creators say, I want, this is my model. Everyone can say it's a zero royalty on my collection, and that's fine. Or it's 5, 10, 50%. If you feel like that at the end of the day, it's better for you. And then, people accept it or people don't accept it. If you don't accept it, you don't need to buy the stuff. For me, this is the thing. So then, yeah, of course, code is code. And if technically you can change it, okay, you change it. But I believe that something will come up. I don't know if it come from another layer. I don't know if it come with on a side chain, the main chain, another chain, or another platform. I don't know exactly, which standard will come, but I'm pretty sure that one standard will come. And on one hand, you will have a world with royalty and maybe another world without royalty, and both of them will have advantages and some issue. But for me, royalties are not dead.
I see that Rarible, for example, are giving creators the option to have a separate personalized marketplace for their collection, where they can set the royalty to be whatever they want. And that kind of leads into the trend that every project has its own marketplace, which I think is sad. It's nice to have a place where you can trade everything, right? But OpenSea, in this kind of battle of royalties that they've had going on, it's a reaction to losing their market share, right? But it's bad for the ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah.
But then if they can't be profitable and they go down, then that's even worse.
No, I understand. OpenSea, to be honest, I don't want to blame them. They tried to do their best in a context when they've been aggressively attacked by Blur. And so, at the end of the day, I think they had to do, and they tried to do something to keep royalties on one hand and respect everybody, keep their market share on the other hand. So I think this is I would say the market has decided, and it's true that the market is composed mainly with people who don't run royalties. I would say at least in terms of volume, this is what we need to admit. If the market wants this, you will always have a platform that will do it. And so, and I remember, that, I was already talking with some friends who come from the bank industry, and they say, wow, royalty, come on, wow, I cannot, no, yeah, it's complicated. It's too much. It's too big. So, if you have this background and you want to trade NFTs, and to be fair, most of the volumes are composed with trader now who don't run royalties. So I think it's something that maybe had to happen. No, I took time, to realize that, but I think maybe it had to happen. But on the other hand, yeah, you have a place for royalty. On my hand, for example, I always pay my royalty even if they're optional, because for me it's okay. I don't have to, but I pay my royalties because I believe people should get their royalties.
Well, there's a project called Cryptograph that I was involved in some time back that actually hard-coded royalties into the smart contract using something called ERC 2665. And that, of course, comes with its own problems, because then you're affecting how ownership works. It's like, how do I own this if in order to transact it, I have to pay the royalty fee? I might be moving it between wallets. But it's all part of the experimentation. This was a very philanthropic, charity-based project that produced income for charity going forward.
Yeah, no, but you're right, George. It's a very complex topic. But on the other hand, we are asking questions about what is ownership. This is all about, we're talking about with blockchain.
Absolutely.
And this is why we're in this space, because ownership is, for me, it won't be exactly the same that it used to be in the traditional world. And you can own some stuff without owning everything, and you can own something without owning the transfer right. And you can, it's part of, and this is what is interesting. A lot of models are tested currently. And I believe, that there will be a market for that, to be honest, even a standard like this. I'm pretty sure that at the moment a marketplace will try to come with a value proposition with this. And if some good artists, mint on this platform, people will be happy to collect it. So we'll see.
Well, it's been super fascinating to chat with you. I know we're pushing time now. Is there any way you'd like to direct people following this conversation?
Oh, yeah. Come to Non Fungible Conference in Italy, Lisbon, June 7, 8, 9. Lisbon, Portugal, nonfungibleconference.com or NFC Summit on Twitter.
Awesome. Well, we'll be there.
Awesome. We'll be happy to see you there.
And yeah, great to chat, John. Super interesting and great to finally catch up with you properly.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm really happy to be there and really happy to finally, be on Non Fungible. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, John.
Before you go, would you do us the honor of reading out the winning entry for Brave New Gerbil, which is by Dork Love Sports?
No, okay. Sure.
Amazing. Let me just send you the story so you can have a quick read through first.
With a nice French accent.
Yeah.
Oh, it reminds me of our chat with a lot of money. You had a similar accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning, when you are French, you try to have a good accent in English, and then at the moment you realize that you can't. So you just keep your French accent and make it stronger.
And make it stronger. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Right. There's the story.
Okay. Perfect. I love it. Wow. That's really wow.
It's powerful, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, sometimes ChatGPT can be very innovative.
Come on.
For me now, everything is default ChatGPT for 100%.
You're right.
Oh, no.
It's true that but no, for me, yeah. I don't use it for content, but yeah, for a lot of random stuff, I use it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, if Dork Love Sports did do this, then with ChatGPT, then he's using it right?
I'm pretty sure he didn't use ChatGPT. This is why, I think I'm pretty sure, for me, you cannot have this on ChatGPT for me. Okay, let's try. Brave New Gerbil came to herself at the beginning of the hallway that appeared to have no end. She gazed about for a moment, finding rough stone walls and a dirt floor. She only had one way to go, so her journey began. She pushed ahead, investigating the rooms that appeared on either side on the hallway. She saw gerbils fighting for dominance. She was not afraid of being hurt in the fray, but she has no desire to harm others, and so her journey continued. She came upon another room filled with food. She noticed some gerbils consuming food gluttonously, while others survived on scraps. She could discern no reason why some benefited more than others. She was beckoned by the gluttons to join them. She would not end, so her journey continued. She investigated many rooms and she moved down the seemingly infinite hallway. Some rooms were mad-eyed gerbils greedily protected shiny metals or gems. Some rooms were gerbils in blue suits with red ties argued endlessly about everything and accomplished nothing. As she moved down the hallway, she had many opportunities to benefit personally by entering a room, but always the cost was too high, and so her journey continued. As she traveled, the hallway changed around her. Stone walls gave way to concrete and then steel. The dirt floor transitioned to wood, then obsidian. Finally, she stood at another precipice as the floor turned to light and the walls gave way to endless void. An older gerbil sat at the border. His simple wooden chair leaned against the wall as he reclined precipitously back, apparently dozing. She reached to check him awake, and his head lifted, revealing a warm smile. Haven't found a room to your liking? Brave new Jebbles shook her head in the negative, looking forward and back. The older Jebbles said, nothing but possibilities before you. Brave new Jebbles replied, will it be better? The older Jebbles shrugged, that is up to you. The fact that you weren't drawn to any of the opportunities before this place gives me hope. Hope that you and other truly brave Jebbles like you will make it better. And so her journey continued.
That was amazing. That was brilliant.
I try. Yeah, sorry for the accent. Sometimes, it's hard for me.
We're in serious trouble if that was ChatGPT. Because if it's that creative and eccentric already, we're in real trouble.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, it's great. It's a pleasure to read. Also, it's good. It's a good moment to read it.
It is a good moment to read it, definitely. And that was beautifully read. And congratulations, Dork Love Sports.
Yeah.
With enough fun, gerbils, come on now. With enough fun, with a gerbil. We interview founders and builders with the focus on the tech and the fundamentals. George and Luke have been friends since they were kids. We collaborate with the audience to make scarce, dank, creative gerbils. Rude moose and the force to be reckoned with. We're the non fun, we're the gerbils. We're the non fun gerbils. Yeah, we're the non fun gerbils. We're the non fun gerbils.